Hello everybody, it's Anthony here from Cutting Edge Guitar, following up from my last lesson, which was Cutting Edge Alternate Picking Part 1. We're looking at Part 2 of the series today, which is going to be expanding on those single string concepts that we did, looking at taking this technique across strings and through full positions. So the difficulty with alternate picking when we are crossing strings as opposed to playing along the length of one string is that we're going to need to make the plectrum travel from the side of one string across to another, alternating the motion. Okay, now this is a difficult thing with this technique. Now, as I've always been doing with my cutting edge technique lessons, there's an accompanying blog post which has all of the tabs on, which you can go to. The link is in the description. You can go and view those. You'll see the tabs, you'll see the pick directions that I'm using. I've written those all in there. Now what I'm talking about with this difficulty of crossing strings is in example 1 we're doing this sort of thing. Now as I'm crossing across the two strings there, what you'll notice, I'm using 3 notes per string scale forms, okay? So if I'm alternate picking, I've got down, up, down, followed by up, down, up on the next string. Now where that poses a difficulty is we've got down, up, down there, and now my plectrum needs to go across to the 5th string to start doing an upstroke. So whereas when we were playing on one string we were just bedding in doing down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up all the time, that sort of thing, what we don't have is when we're doing these kind of ideas, we don't have the ability to just keep moving in the same way all the time without getting that difficult string crossing thing happening. So what you have to do when you're alternate picking is just making sure that you're hooking around the outside of the strings there with an exercise like this. So what I'm doing with this is what we actually call outside the string picking. I'm starting with a downstroke, so on the outside of the 6th string, and then I'm ending with upstroke, downstroke, upstroke. So because I'm ending with that upstroke, we say that I'm now on the outside of the 5th string. So I'm outside the 6th string, then outside the 5th string. If we was referring to this as inside the string picking, what I'd be doing is I'd be starting on an upstroke. So as I'm doing that, up, down, up, down, up, down, we're saying there that the plectrum is generally staying in between that string pair. So that's what we call inside the string picking. So with example 1, I've written it as an outside the string picking idea, but you can try both ways if you want. I've also written example 1 in 3 different octaves. So I'm in the key of C major, still using the C major, A natural minor, 3 notes per string that we've been using throughout the series. And yeah, we're using starting on a G, and I've basically taken that shape up through 3 octaves and then into the next one. So when you're practicing these things, you want to practice them at a slow tempo for a while. And as you start to get more comfortable with it, start building up your speed. And same in the other octaves as well. So when doing this, I will always recommend that you use a metronome and build your speed up gradually. In the accompanying post, I've put lots of description in there to give you advices on how to build speed and those sorts of things. And I've also included a download, so you can download that post with some additional bonuses that will show you how to build speed and all those sorts of things. All I want to show you on the video really is exactly how I'm executing it. Okay, so example number 2, what we're going to do in that one is reverse those 3 octaves that we've just been looking at. So you keep the same fingerings, the same positions, but what we're going to do is go down the fretboard. So far we've been working our way up the fretboard. As we're working this way, we now end up with the inside the string picking motion, because I'm going to start on a downstroke. So that will give me down, up, down on the high E, and then I'm going to go up, down, up on the B. So I'm staying inside these 2 strings. Something that's worth pointing out here is you might want to experiment with a few things, like the way that you're gripping the pick. I like to hold the pick between my thumb and first finger, give me that nice 45-degree slicing angle that's going to cut through the strings. The way, if you just sort of look at the way that my elbow is bent as I'm coming in across the guitar here, everything's comfortable, there's no tension. So yeah, that 45-degree angle, and then like the motion of the picking is actually coming from my wrist. It's not really an elbow movement. Okay, so example 2 was showing the reverse motion there. And example number 3, this one is a 16th note exercise. What we're doing with example number 3, it's actually it's similar to one of the, well, it's not similar, it's exactly the same as one of the legato exercises that I did in the Cutting Edge Legato mini-series. So what we're going to do now, instead of playing this with hammer-ons and pull-offs, we're now going to pick it, okay? Trying to keep that strict 16th note pulse. Again, on the download, I've put some MP3s in there that will demonstrate this example at 2 speeds, a slow learning tempo and then a faster speed. So what you'll want to do is spend plenty of time doing these at slow speeds. And then as you see fit, gradually speed it up to the speed that you're comfortable with playing at and what is going to suit your music. Okay, so that was example number 3. Example number 4 is another 16th note example, but this time it's going to be across 3 strings, okay? So what I'm doing with this one, I'm going straight up A natural minor in position 1, the top 3 strings of the shape, and then straight back down. So when I'm saying that this is A natural minor position 1, I'm seeing this as from the entire shape. Sonically, where it's placed though, because you're starting on a C, it sounds more like a C major idea. I think I'd mentioned in a previous technique lesson about, you know, this is how modes work and all that sort of thing. If you are interested in learning some more about that, please do drop me a line in the comments, because that might be a lesson that I can do in the future. So anyway, back to example number 4, which is just playing up and down those 3 strings. resist the urge on this one to start using economy picking. Now, I'm not going to say that economy picking is bad. Economy picking is brilliant. I use it. I absolutely love it. It's just that the focus of this lesson is alternate picking. So you don't want to start drifting into a different thing. Keep your practice disciplined so that you can learn all of the different techniques, and then you'll be able to use them all in your own playing. So economy picking, if you're not sure on what that is, it's when you're always moving your pick in the same direction as a string change. So if I was economy picking, I'd be going down, and then do again down, up, down, and on my way back up, sort of up, down, up, down, up, that kind of thing. I am going to cover that in another lesson. So as I say, for the moment, just stick with the strict alternate picking technique and be disciplined. Okay, example number 5. Well, for the next couple of licks and examples, actually, we're going to be looking at a famous Paul Gilbert idea. Quite possibly the best alternate picking exercise I've ever come across. It's this, basically. So what we're doing here is we're using 3 notes on one string of any, you could use any 3 notes per string position. I'm doing this around the 5th fret area. With 3 notes on one string and just 1 note on the next, giving us a nice group of 6 pattern. So that is generally the way that Paul does it. So he does it with outside the string picking. We're starting on a downstroke there, so we end up with an upstroke for the note that's on the high E string. But what we can do, and this is what we're going to do in example 6 here, if you rhythmically displace that lick, so instead of the downbeat being here, we're going to put the downbeat here. So now if I start on my downbeat there, I've now got a downstroke for my note that's on the top, and then I'm going to do up, down, up on the notes that are on the lower string. So now I've got an inside the string picking version of the same idea. Okay, it's just if you have a favour, if you favour a different way, whether you're an outside the string picker or an inside the string picker, you might like to do one or the other. Also, of course, if you can do both, what you can get is a different sound from the same lick by, as I say, rhythmically displacing. So when I'm playing this lick like this, it sounds one way, but when I play it like this, it's the same notes in the same order every single time, but with the downbeat in a different place, it sounds different. So that's kind of a cool thing to try. In example 7 and example 8, what I've done with this, I've kept the same notes in the same order, but I'm going to change the fingering. This is one of the nice things about the guitar, is that it's a really wonderful instrument for transposing on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the A and I'm going to put that over here. So I've now got, in terms of the tab, I'm doing 10, 8, 6, and I'm also going to change the E. So instead of that being at the 5th fret there, I'm going to do it at the 9th fret on the G string. So that was example number 7, showing a different fingering for the same idea. In terms of the picking, I'm doing down, up, down, up, down, up, down. And then you could also play the exact same notes like I'm showing in example number 8 in this position here. So what I've now got, I've got my A up at the 10th fret on the B string. I've got my G at the 8th fret on the B. And then I'm going to be doing So I've got A, G, F, E, F, G, A. That way round, okay? In terms of the picking on that one, I've written it like this. Actually, if I'm playing that up to tempo, I can't really make that work with the downstroke there, if I'm honest. I like to have it as the upstrokes. So again, you know, this is showing you why you need to practice these things in a number of different ways, because in my own playing there, I've got a weak spot. I can't do that so well starting on the downstroke. For some reason, my right hand wants to default back to starting that on the upstroke, okay? So when I'm playing it with the upstroke there, I'm fine. But if I start it on the downstroke, I can't get the same speed. Obviously, it is really hard to play it that way, but it's showing you why you need to play lots of different things in lots of different orders, okay? But what I've done there in the last couple of examples, I've literally played the same exercise in 3 different fingerings, which gives you a completely different workout every time for your pick, okay? So, moving on to example number 9. What we've got with example number 9 up to example 13, we're going to be doing full scale positions, okay? So rather than just scale fragments, we're going to be looking at whole scale positions. I'm doing these generally in A natural minor position 1. One of them is going to be in position 7, starting here at the 3rd fret. So the first one, what we're doing is a doubled sextuplet pattern. So what we're going to basically do is play each string twice through. That's the pattern. And then we do it on every single string. Okay, so that's example number 9. Example number 10 is the same thing in reverse. So what we're going to do now is double each string coming down the scale. Okay, example number 11 and 12 actually, let's just talk about these both at the same time. We've got a variation on the sextuplet pattern. What we're doing in example 11, we're going to start with the low note, go to the high note, middle, low, middle, high. So that's our pattern. And then we're going to do that on every string. Okay, so that's example 11. Example 12 is a variation on that sextuplet pattern. By sextuplet, I mean 6 notes per beat. So what we're going to do this time is we're going to start on the highest note and we're going to go high, low, middle, high, middle, low. Okay, that's example 12. And example 13, what we're going to do is start looking at that famous Paul Gilbert string crossing idea, but taking it through an entire shape. This is the one that I've moved down to the 3rd fret area. So this one comes out like this. So there's your pattern. So we do that starting on the 6th string. Once we've finished the 5th string, we then start it again from the C on the 5th string. And that's the way it moves through the whole scale form. And there we have it. They are the 13 examples that make up Cutting Edge Alternate Picking Part 2. If you want to drop me a line in the comments, guys, about any requests for future lessons, please do. Please make sure you subscribe to the channel so that you get to see future lessons. As I said earlier on, this lesson is a blog post which is up on my website, so you can go and see all of the tabs. There's further explanation and everything on there. You can also download that lesson. You can download the post as a PDF e-booklet. It's got MP3s with it, so you can hear everything. There's also some tips and everything in the booklet about expanding these examples to give you way more ideas on how to practice them. It should keep you busy for hours and hours on end. So take a look at that. Links in the description. The next lesson, Cutting Edge Alternate Picking Part 3, we'll be looking at how we're going to combine those linear concepts with the positional concepts so that we can open up the whole fretboard with the technique. So I will look forward to seeing you in the next lesson, guys. Take care, and I'll see you soon.